Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing my March reset for you guys. So I can't believe March is upon us. Honestly, where has the year gone? I feel like I say that at the start of like every reset, like, oh my god, so much time has passed. But it has. But it's March. I'm excited. Spring is starting this month. Honestly, like, it's kind of my least favorite time of year. Late winter / early spring is just a time that I deeply dislike, and it's the time when I get seasonal depression the most. So we're gonna see how this goes, but I do have some fun reading plans for this month that I can hopefully dive into, and we will definitely be talking about those, but I'm also going to be showing you guys my March reading journal setup. I am very excited for it's not really much of a theme, again, because I'm just using some stickers that I have, but it's gonna be a butterfly nature sort of vibe, I suppose, which kind of sounds like every other theme that I do in my journal, but what can you do? So here are the sticker sheet. Well, it's actually one sticker sheet that I ripped in half, but sticker sheet that I'm going to be using. Very, very fun. I got these at my favorite scrapbook shop, you already know. I actually have a whole other sheet of them that I could also potentially use because I really love some of the butterflies that are on this one. Like, look at this one at the top. It's so pretty. It's got little flowers on its wings. Obviously, not natural at all, but I still love it, so. I have these that I will be using. And then I also have this little butterfly that I may use on this spread. I may save it for something else, but it's an option. So I'm going to start off by doing that. And then I will come back and we will chat through my March TBR. So my journaling is finished. I am obviously very happy with how it turned out. I feel like it's kind of impossible to mess up a spread as simple as the one that I did, so I'm happy with it. I think it looks cute. I feel like, honestly, I've been using my reading journal a lot less recently. Ever since I got my Hobonichi last, like, July, I feel like I've been doing less spreads because I do more of my spreads in my Hobonichi. But I do still really enjoy putting together these monthly spreads that I can look back on, so I'm happy I got to share it with you guys. I hope you enjoyed. So now that we've done my journaling, it is time to hop into talking about my March TBR in just a second, actually. Because before I get into the books that I want to read in March, I actually want to talk about something else that I'm hopefully going to be focusing on in March, because thanks to the sponsor of today's video, which is Skillshare, I am hopefully going to be getting more into my knitting journey. I know I've said this so many times, but like, just hear me out, okay? Just wait. If you guys don't know, Skillshare is an online learning community with thousands of different classes that you can possibly take in so many different subjects that are all taught by industry professionals. I've taken many a class on Skillshare and I really, really love them, so I decided to kind of look into knitting a little bit more extensively. I feel like I've said for years that I'm finally gonna get into knitting, and then I literally never do it. But at the end of last year, I made it a short-term goal to to at least learn the basics of knitting before I try to get into any extensive projects. And I did do that. I think I showed these in a vlog at one point, but I made these. They're not completely knitted. The ribbing on it is crocheted because I did not want to learn how to do knit ribbing, but I know the basics. I can make a square, which is good enough for me, so I decided it's finally time that I attempt to knit a sweater. So I decided to kind of scope things out on Skillshare, look for like a still beginner, but not like just doing the basics beginner kind of class. And I stumbled across one that is perfect, and that is this class by Brandy Cheyenne Harper called Next Level Knitting, Knit Your Own Chunky Crop Sweater, which honestly sounds like the perfect way to start out because, you know, if the yarn is chunky, then it's easier to kind of work through the project faster. So I've been watching this, learning some things, taking it all in, and hopefully I can apply that to my own chunky cropped knit sweater one day. I love how simple and straightforward this class is. It basically just covers everything you need to know, nothing extraneous, and I love that. It goes over how to cast on and how to knit in a round, how to separate the sleeves, how to shape the body, hem the sleeves, and it also talks about weaving in the ends and blocking, which I've still never blocked any yarn thing that I've made, so hopefully I can use that and apply it to everything that I end up making, even aside from this sweater. But if knitting isn't exactly something that you're into, they do have so many other different subjects that you can check out, such as art, illustration, crafts, DIYs. They really just have so many different classes on there that align with a lot of hobbies that I like to partake in, so I love looking through them and finding something new to check out. So if any of that sounds interesting to you guys, I will have a link to Skillshare down below, and the first 500 people that click that link will get their first month of Skillshare for free. That is a whole month of learning a new skill that you can potentially love for free. So again, thank you so much to Skillshare for sponsoring this video and supporting me and my channel, and to you guys who are watching this video as well for always supporting me and my channel. Your support means the absolute world to me, and I'm so happy that you're here. So with that, let's get into talking about my March TBR. I think I have 8 books on it, maybe, which, you know, maybe a little ambitious, seeing as that's kind of the average amount of books that I'm reading per month right now. And the likelihood that I'm gonna stick to this TBR 100%, low. I'm gonna let you know right now, it's low. But these are the books that I would really like to get to this month. Also, I don't have a lot of physical copies of these. I think I only have like 4 out of the 8 maybe, because a lot of these are books that I'm planning on picking up. I just do not have copies of them yet. So for now, we're just gonna have to do with pictures on the screen. But hopefully soon I will have copies of some of these books, and I'm very excited for it. First up, let me talk about my Patreon buddy read for the month, and that is Blood Over Brighthaven by Emma Wong. This is a like fantasy, dark academia kind of situation. Emma Wong is the author that wrote The Sword of Kaigen, which I read last December and I absolutely loved. It was my last 5-star of the year. It was phenomenal, honestly. I was a big fan. And so many people told me in the video where I read that book that like I need to read Blood Over Brighthaven. It's so good. It's like one of their favorite books of the year, and I was like, all right, you guys have convinced me. And then it got put on my poll for my March buddy read and it won. I know everybody else on the Patreon is also super excited about it, so I think it'll be really fun to read it together. But it's basically following 2 main characters, one of whom attends the university that this kind of centers on, and one of whom is a janitor at the university, and they're kind of teaming up to, you know, discover some dark secrets about magic and academia and something to that effect. I don't know any more specifics beyond that, honestly, but I'm excited about this. So I'm gonna put my trust in you guys and not look at anything else about it. I think it'll be great though, and I can't wait. Next up, we have a book that I picked up a couple of months ago, and I've been really wanting to get into it because I've seen some really good things about this book, and that is The Teller of Small Fortunes by Julie Leong. This is like a cozy fantasy kind of situation, I believe, and it is following our main character Tao, who is a traveling fortune teller. But it's not of like substantial fortunes, it's like small fortunes, as the title would suggest. I mean, I think that's kind of it. I'm pretty sure it's cozy fantasy, pretty sure there's a cat in it. I mean, there's a cat on the cover, so I would assume there is. And that is, again, all I need to know about this one. I've heard great things about it so far, so I've been really wanting to get into it, and I feel like March will be a good month for some cozy fantasy, so I'll definitely be reading this one. Then for my one new release that comes out in March, which I'm so excited about, I believe it comes out on the 20th of March, maybe? I could be wrong, but I think that's when it comes out. And that is The Geographer's Map to Romance by India Holton. This is the second book in her Love's academic series, the first one being The Ornithologist's Field Guide to Love, which I read last year and I really love. India Holton really just knows how to write a fun, slightly ridiculous, romantic comedy, historical situation. And that is basically what these books are. So I know the second one is not going to disappoint me. We have been slightly introduced to the two main characters in the first book, I believe. I think one of them is a geographer, and I think they're in an arranged marriage. All I know is like the comp titles for this book are crazy, honestly, because it's literally described as Anne of Green Gables meets Twister. And I still, for the life of me, do not know what that means, but I'm incredibly excited to find out. I truly cannot wait for this book. This is one of my most anticipated releases of the year, just because I think it's gonna be so fun and sounds perfect for March. So we'll be reading that probably very close to when it comes out. Next up, I do have a little bit of a cozy mystery for the month, and that is When the Crow's Away by Orly Wallace. This is the second book in the last book in the Evenful Witches B&B mystery series. Again, read the first one last year, really loved it, so I've been wanting to get to this one. Initially, I was gonna read this directly after I read the first one, but then I found out that this book takes place in spring, so I decided I would wait for spring, and even though it's not technically spring yet, it's gonna be spring soon. In my mind, it might as well be spring now. I mean, it's like 55 degrees outside, so that is spring weather enough for me, so I definitely want to read this book. I think in this one we're following our main character as she investigates like a chocolatier, like the ghost of a chocolatier is doing something. Basically what I think happens in this book is the guy that runs the sweet shop in this little town that this is set in, he ends up dying, and his wife puts the sweet shop on the market like to sell immediately, which is super suspicious. So our main character is kind of gonna investigate that and figure out what happened to him. So that just like, it sounds so quaint, so fun. I'm still so sad that this series is not getting continued. And even though I know there's kind of a cliffhanger at the end of it, I will still hopefully really enjoy it, because I did really enjoy the first one. So we'll be reading this one as well. Next up, we have a book that I believe is getting published in a couple tomorrow, maybe, as I'm filming this video, and that is Green Teeth by Molly O'Neill. I can't lie, like the first thing that drew me in about this book was the cover, because it is absolutely stunning, but then don't worry, I'm not just gonna buy a book because of its cover. I did read the synopsis, and I am quite excited about this one, because just listen to the little blurb for this. It says it's a tale of fae, folklore, and found family, narrated by a charismatic, lake-dwelling monster with a voice unlike any other. Doesn't that sound so good? Like, I'm so excited about this one. I don't think I've seen anybody read it yet, like any advanced copy, like reviews of it or anything, so I don't really know what people are thinking of it. All I know is I want to pick it up because it sounds fun, cozy, and again, perfect for March. I feel like March is just going to be the month of me reading cozy books, honestly. Then next up, I do have a reread, because I will be continuing my read-along of the Veronica Speedwell series over on my Patreon. Since it is March, we're reading the third book in the series, which is A Treacherous Curse. I'm actually so excited to get into my reread of this one specifically, because when I went into it the first time, I feel like I had different expectations for what this book was gonna be, and when it wasn't that, I was a little bit disappointed, but now that I know more of what this book is like, I think I'm gonna like it more. But basically, Veronica and Stoker in this one are solving an Egyptian-themed mystery. Initially, when I was like reading this the first time, I thought they were gonna go to Egypt, which is why I was like, oh my god, this is gonna be so good. And then they didn't. Spoiler alert, they don't go to Egypt, but it does have to do with Egyptian things, I suppose. I think there's like a collection that comes to London that has to do with like Egyptology, maybe? I don't know, honestly, although I'm reading like the blurb on the dust jacket, and they always make these mysteries sound more exciting than they actually are. Like, I love this series, but like they're really not that exciting. But again, we'll be rereading this, having a blast, hopefully. Next up on my TBR, I do have a pretty spooky book, honestly, and I'm tempted to wait until like spooky season to read it, but I do sometimes love a spooky story in the off season, so I decided that this month I would really like to pick up the Spirit Collection of Thorn Hall. This is again a new release by J. Ann Thomas, and again, just like, I don't think I can put it any better than how they have it phrased on here. But it says, a young woman forced to live with ghosts in a mansion frozen in time must decide between forbidden love and the price of freedom in this gothic fantasy where Jane Eyre meets the haunting of Bly Manor. Doesn't that sound so good? I love a haunted house. I love a spooky story. It also says it's perfect for fans of Starling House, which I did really enjoy when I read it a couple years ago. So this just sounds so good. And then the last book that I have on this TBR is a book that I'm currently in the middle of, but I put it down a little bit ago and I would like to get back into it. And that is The Tainted Cup by Robert Jackson Bennett. I like soft DNF'd this kind of a little while ago just because I didn't want to read it at that point in time, but I really want to get back into this because this is such an odd story, but it was so captivating at the same time. So I definitely would like to read the rest of it this month. I probably will just like continue on from where I was because it hasn't been that long since I read it, but I did make it to the like 100-page mark. This one is like a Sherlock Holmes-esque story that is investigating the murder of this guy who ends up like growing a tree out of his chest. It's a whole thing, honestly, but I was just so intrigued by the characters in this world that I definitely would like to get back to this. So those are all of the books that are currently on my March TBR. Obviously very subject to change, but this is currently what I'm really hoping I will be able to get to. And with that, we have actually arrived at the end of this video. So obviously I would love to know what are some of the books that you guys have on your March TBR. I think, what am I the most excited about? I might be the most excited about either Geographer's Map to Romance or The Spirit, what is it? The Spirit Collection of Thornhall. It's such a long title. Either of those. I feel like I'm really gonna like both of those. So I can't wait for those, but obviously I would love to know what are some books you guys are excited about. Yeah, that's everything for this video. That's kind of all I needed to do to reset for the month. So I hope you guys enjoyed going along on this short journey with me. I would again like to thank Skillshare so much for sponsoring this video. Don't forget, I will leave a link to them down below, and the first 500 people that click that link will get their first month of Skillshare for free. I would also like to thank everybody over on my Patreon. If you're ever looking for more content from me, that's always linked down below. We do some fun stuff. I do extra videos, journaling content. We do monthly readathons. We have a book club. I'm now doing like live show discussions for a book club. We're trying that out. I think it'll be fun, so if you want to come join, you definitely could. But with that, I'm actually gonna let you go. So again, thank you so much for watching. I hope you're all having a lovely Friday, or whatever day it is that you are watching this video, and I will see you all in my next one. Bye!